Hi and welcome to another reading with me, Leenna. So today we're revisiting one that I've recently done, and it's for a future spouse. This was requested by Exotic Flower about a month ago, and although I did do it, it wasn't in the way that I wanted to, or with the cards and the other material that I wanted to. So I'm doing this again. And if you have watched the other ones, maybe you can use this as confirmation. And if you haven't watched it before, then welcome to finding out if your future spouse is a foreigner and have you already met them. So we've got 4 options for you. I'm sorry, I'm still not as organized as I should be, but hopefully this video will be a better quality than the previous one. So we've got 4 options for you. We've got the Honey Calcite, which is such a beautiful color. We've got the White Calcite, which is actually glowing today when I picked it up. And we've got the Green Tourmaline, as well as the Kunzite, which has a greenish tint as well. So choose your option. I'm also going to be using these. This is what I was missing before. Well, some of these. So this is some of the hobbies that if you've met them, you may have talked about. This may be countries that they may be from, or that you may have talked about. And then we're going to be using the do you know them, yes or no, using these cards, where previously I used the Gypsy Oracle. And if I feel like we're going to be picking some of my own do-it-yourself tarot cards to get any more information about them. So I hope you've chosen either the Honey Calcite, the White Calcite, the Green Tourmaline, or the Kunzite, and we're going to start with the Honey Calcite today. And let's see. I'm sorry, this place just seems to get more and more cluttered. Let's see if your future spouse is a foreigner and if you already know them. So let's see it first. If they're a foreigner, and we have healing family issues, we have vacation, and we have the stork, the whip, and the magnifying glass, and then we also have charity and influence. So what I'm getting here is that you could have met them already. You could have met them on vacation, or they could have met you on vacation, but it was a family vacation. Or if you were, this is if you met them when you were like in your teens or tweens, or even in college when you're still very much living with your family. But if you're older, then it could be that you are on your own, and perhaps wondering if you need to separate or not from your family or your spouse or something like that. So for some of you, for the older ones, it would be a case of you going on vacation to get some clarity and get some distance and a better perspective on your relationships with either your spouse or your family. And if you're younger, if you're like below 25, then it's you're likely to have met them on vacation. But are they a foreigner? I'm feeling that for some of you, they could be from a different culture, but they're not necessarily a foreigner. So they could look foreign and be very attractive to you because they have a bit of an exotic look to them, a very elegant, graceful look. But I feel once they start talking to you, they're going to have exactly the same accent as you, or that you're going to find that that they come from the neighboring country, or they come from a culture that is now in, they have a presence in your country. For example, Chinatown in San Francisco, that kind of thing, where there's a little area where people of their culture or from their country, their native country or their parents' native country comes from. So I think they look foreign, but they aren't exactly. But let's see what else we can find out about how am I going to do this? So let's do this. So let's just pick some of their hobbies or things you might have talked about. For some of you, I'm getting ski-doos. What are they called? Jet skis or ski-doos. So we also have show jumping, hiking. So they seem to be very active, or you could be very active. We also have martial arts. And we also have amateur archaeology or treasure hunting. So I think this was a beach holiday for some of you. And I'm also getting a strong sense of like Miami or Mexico or something. And I think that's where the archaeology comes in. So we also have the martial arts. I feel you might be into martial arts actually, and maybe that's something you have in common as well. Show jumping and hiking. If you're hiking with your family, you probably met them along the way and joined up with their family group or their their group of friends, and that's how you first got talking to them. So let's see what countries we've got here. So you got South Africa, that's where I'm from, Italy, Greece, Sweden, Denmark, and Argentina. So I'm just going to leave those there for now. So have you met them already, or is this something going to come that's going to come in from the future? And we've got, so the reds are going to indicate a yes, the black will indicate a no. So you've got probably not, most likely not. There may be one or two of you who probably are almost at the point of meeting them, but for most of you, you haven't met them yet, but they kind of embody what you would really want from your ideal partner in terms of the way they look or speak or their interests. So let's just pick one more card from here, or two more cards from here, to see what my do-it-yourself tarot says about them. And we have the Star, the World, and the Lovers. So this looks like it's going to be very much like a destined meeting, and it's likely that it's going to happen in a very simple but very significant way. So for example, if you meet them while you're hiking and your groups join up, you're probably going to be walking for like an hour talking to them or so. So it's not going to be like a, seeing them from afar for most of you and then wondering who they are for days on end. It's going to be quite a significant meeting, and you might have already dreamt about them, or they may have already dreamt about you. And like I said, for some of you, if you're older, if you're in your late 30s to early 50s, one of you could be going through a divorce or considering separation from your current spouse, or you're recovering from your relationship with your ex. And this one, when you meet them, you'll immediately know that they are your soulmate, or the next person that's going to be very significant in your life. So I'm going to put these back because I hope we don't keep picking the same ones, but still, I'm just going to put them back, and hopefully we'll see how that plays out. So that was your reading. If you chose the Honey Calcite, on is your future spouse a foreigner, and do you know them? So you don't know them, they're most likely not a foreigner, but someone from a different culture who you meet while on holiday. So that was Honey Calcite. So let's go on to the White Calcite, and I do think it's glowing today, just a little bit. Anyway, so the Calcite, is your future spouse a foreigner, and do you know them? We've got playfulness and mask. We've also got the rider, the lady, and the bear. So for some of you, they may be from Alaska or someplace pretty far north, Russia, Canada, any place where you get polar bears. Or they might be very into the Arctic and Antarctic. Also have domination and status. So for some of you, I'm getting a strong sense of Alaska or northern Canada, Yukon, and what are they called? The Northern Territories in Canada, not Australia. Are they a foreigner? I think they are. I think their lifestyle is also very different to yours. They may have a much more severe or less a less protected upbringing than you, so your outlooks are going to be very different. For some of you, I feel they may be First Peoples or Native American or another sort of indigenous people who live in the very cold areas. But I also feel that they have the kind of features that allow them to blend in anywhere, and they may at first mistaken you for being from the same clan or having some kind of similar cultural history with them. So you may look foreign, you may have very exotic looks for the place that you're from, and perhaps you're always being asked if you're a foreigner, even if you're in your home country or your hometown, which often happens to me. And I also feel that it will be an instant attraction and that you will very quickly fall in love and get married, and that the differences that you have in upbringing is actually not going to matter, because even though you have very different upbringings, you have very similar, as you know, at one hand you have very similar outlooks to life, and the other option you have very different ways of doing things and approaching things. And you know, it's either you both are totally in agreement or you're totally in opposite poles. So there's very little so what you're going to learn from this relationship is to compromise and see a different viewpoint, and to understand some things that you thought were black and white, and you're going to both allow each other to see blendings and more contrast, or more not more contrast, more definition in life, because you're bringing different ideas and different perspectives. But are they a foreigner? I feel that they are, and if they're not, their culture is very foreign to you. Besides the far north, let's see if there's anything else I'm getting. For some of you, they could be Norwegian or Scottish, or they could be from the Faroe Islands or someplace like that, or the Shetland Islands, or Orkney Islands. For others of you, they could be from way in the south, around the Falkland Islands, and I can never say the southern tip of South America, the one that all the boats leave to, well, all the ships leave for Antarctica, that kind of region. They could also be Peruvian. And for a few of you, they could be Nordic. If they're Nordic, they're more likely to be the dark-haired ones, not the blonde ones, or even red-haired. And someone's name is Olga, so it could be someone in their family, or it could be someone that you talk about, or it could even be a ship or a boat that is that you arrive on, or they arrive on, or it belongs to someone. So things you could talk about or you have in common is blogging. We also have computer games. So both of you seem really into computers, or they are. We also have gardening, as well as restoration of machines. So they seem to be quite a well-rounded person. So let's see what countries we get if they support what my feelings are. We've got Argentina again. So that was that really bottom part of South America, the foot of South America, shall we call it. South Pacific. So that could be, that's not really a cold area unless you're getting really, really far south. So for some of you, it could be New Zealand, South Island. We got Zanzibar. And we've got Russia, Eastern Russia. So that will, I don't think I have the Baltics here, or I do actually. So Eastern Russia would be on the border with, I'm actually not so good with geography there. We also got Vietnam. So perhaps you'll meet in Zanzibar or Vietnam, or you both have been there, or you want to go there, or you'll want to go to some of the other places. So Eastern Russia would be next to Finland, actually. It would be like St. Petersburg and stuff like that, and I think Moscow as well. So have you met them already? Have you met them already? And we have, so the reds would be a yes, the blacks would be a no. So very similar to number one. One or two of you might have met them, but not really gotten to know them very well. But most of you haven't met them yet. And for some of you, you're very close to meeting them. So perhaps you might meet online because we have blogging and we have computer games. And you have, I feel, like one or both of you live in very isolated places. And let's see, for some of them, they could actually be a sailor. And maybe Olga is the ship they sail on. They could be in, what do they call it, the Merchant Marines or the Navy or something like that. So we've got the Fool, we've got the World again, and we've got the Emperor. So going with the dominance here, they've got a very strong personality, and they're very traditional in their outlook. So if they're a male, they have very strong, masculine ways of dealing with things, and that's the way they deal with the world. And if they're feminine, they're very feminine, and that's the way they deal with the world. So they're very much in their energy. But again, we've got, they're very playful. So that the other thing that you may have in common is a sense of humor and travel, and yeah. It's funny, with these two cards, I would normally say that they would be very much set in their culture, but I feel that they've already gone through that period, and now when they meet you, they're much more open-minded and much more willing to accept different ways of doing things and similarities and ways of making your own, being much more tolerant of you following your way and they following their way. So that's what I have for you. So are they a foreigner? Most likely yes, and likely to be from a cold place or working in a cold place, and from a very different culture to you, but you're likely to have blogging, playing computer games. I feel the restoration of furniture, of machines, is one of the pastimes that you'll enjoy helping them with, if that isn't your pastime. So that is what we have for the glowing calcite, the white calcite. So I'm going to leave this aside, and we're going to go on to option number 3, which is the green tourmaline. So is your future spouse a foreigner, and have you met them already? So we have flirt and we have star. We also have the compass. That looks almost exactly like the star, doesn't it? We have time. And we have key. I feel that you haven't met them yet, and it may be a long time before you do, because we have time and we have the star and the compass. So I think both of you are still very much finding each other. We've got friendship and we've got harmony. We've got a lot of the sun kind of brilliant energy shining through. So are they a foreigner? I feel they live very far from you, and I feel they're very far into your future. So I feel that even, if you, so some of you who are watching this are already married, and you really shouldn't be watching this, because this is actually talking about, this could be talking about your second or your third marriage for some of you. For others of you, it's someone who you won't meet for maybe quite a while, unless you're around these ages, 42, 37, 33. And I feel that if you aren't at those ages, you're likely to meet them closer to 47. But also, for many of you, it's at least 10 years or more. So, are they a foreigner though? That is what we're trying to find out. I think they're a friend of a friend, and I think that friend is a foreigner. The friend that we're talking about, this friend of yours who is a foreigner, who's likely to introduce you to your future spouse, is someone who's very dark Latin or Celtic looking, with dark hair. If it's a man, they have a beard. They've got dark brown or black hair. They're likely to have brown eyes or hazel type of eyes. They could also be Indian. If they are Indian, then this person is northern Indian or even Pakistan. And that is the friend who's going to introduce you to your future spouse. So your future spouse could be it's hard for me to pick on this one. I think I'm going to pick another card to tell me if they are a foreigner. We got very soon. So because we have the star and the compass and stuff, I think this one's very changeable. You may want to pick another pile or look at the other video. I'm sorry that video doesn't have very good lighting and sound. But in this one, it feels that a lot is changing and a lot is not dependent on you and them directly. Like I said, we have this intermediary, we have the friend, and it could be that there's a lot of travel for someone involved. So you meeting your future spouse, or this spouse that we're talking about, hinges on this foreigner. So the likelihood of them being a foreigner is quite high, or the likelihood of them working or studying with foreigners is also quite high. So what I'm going to do, I think, to get more clarity on this, is we're going to use this twice. So we're going to use this to see if they are a foreigner to you, if they're from a foreign country to yours, a different nationality to yours. And the answer is probably not. So they're likely to be to have the same nationality as you, but perhaps you meet while traveling, or you meet through a foreign friend. So perhaps, if both of you have a common friend who may introduce you, or if you have a friend overseas or you've been traveling, then this person will say, hey, you're going to be in that city, I know someone, let me go say hi to them for me, or you would make a great couple or something like that. And then you would find that they are same nationality as you, but you were introduced by a foreigner. So that makes sense. So let's see what you might have in common with them or what their hobbies might be, your future spouse. We've got paragliding and abseiling. We've got reading. This could be books. It could be reading palms, be reading the cards, but most likely books. We've got sculpture, so they seem to be quite arty as well. And we've also got computer related things. So this could be gaming, it could be building their own technology, it could be writing code, it could be restoring or old or inventing things, anything that's computer related. They're really into that technology type thing. And the countries that we're talking about that you may talk, I did say Pakistan, didn't I? Yes. And you can see I'm just kind of randomly picking here. I can't see what they are. Scotland, Wales, Ireland. So this could be countries that they're from or their families are from. We've got the Koreas, and we've also, I also said Celtic looking, didn't I? And then we've got Mongolia. So interesting, we've got the Koreas and Mongolia as well. So let me pick one more country for you. And we've got Peru. So these could be countries that they're from or you're from, or this could be countries that you want to visit together and talk about when you first meet. Or this could be the countries, it could be the countries as well that your mutual friend is from. So a bit of a complicated one for you if you chose the Green Tourmaline. And let's see how it works out for you. So let me, oh sorry, we haven't quite finished this one. We haven't seen, I'm so sorry. Do you already know them? Have you already met them? And the answer is yes. So you may have met them online. You may have already been introduced to them. And I think if you have, you probably would have been more drawn to your foreign friend and not really paid attention to your future spouse at first. But I think this friendship will grow because you have a lot of harmony together, and it will grow over time, and you'll get to know them better and better. And I think that's why we've got the very soon and flirt, because it will, once you start flirting, I think the friendship will grow very quickly into something deeper. But also you could meet them very soon, but not actually have that relationship because there's so much going on in your lives at the moment. So like I said, for some of you, this could actually be your second or third spouse or life partner, because it feels like there's a lot of time that you get to get to know each other, So let me just keep these aside. And that was your reading if you had the Green Tourmaline. So let's go on to option number 4, and this is the incredibly intriguing Kunzite. It looks like ice, doesn't it? Greenish ice. It was one of the first crystals I bought actually to try and shield me from computer emissions or radiation. Okay, so I don't know what it's used for these days, but that was one of the ones that was for Kunzite back in the day, and yeah, it's still very fun. So that's the Kunzite. Let's see if you choose a Kunzite. If your future spouse is a foreigner, we have the Sun, Trust. We also have the Book, the Anchor, and the House. And we also have Empathy and Submission. I'm getting 2 very different types of people here. One of the people is from a very sunny place. So it could be Africa, South America, Indonesia, Malaysia. Very hot place with very hot food as well. But your family may not trust them. For others of you, I'm getting a very strong fisher folk kind of feel where they may live in fishing villages, especially up in the north, So again, like Alaska, Canada, and even Maine in the USA. But are they a foreigner? I feel they are, and I feel that you have a lot of lives, past lives with them, and to many people it's not going to make sense why you are together, because I feel your lifestyles are very, very different, your education levels are very, very different, and to a lot of people the two of you just don't make sense, but you guys know that you are meant to be together for the time that you are, because you have a lot of past life. It's not so much karma, but it's a past life connection where something is still not in, something is still incomplete. Perhaps both of you need to support each other through a time. Perhaps both of you need to achieve something together, or both of you just need to express your love to each other in this lifetime in a different way and in a more supportive way. So I think, you may want to have a past life reading, and I think that will give you more information about your future spouse. But are they a foreigner? I think they are. And I think the way you'll meet them is via water. So, for example, if you go to Vancouver or something like that, and you go on a cruise along, is it a sound? You might meet them while you're on that cruise. Perhaps they, if you're a foreigner, then they could be part of the crew or the guide. And if you're in some place where it's very, very hot, they could again be like a game ranger. They're very outdoorsy. They're very connected to nature. Their livelihood depends on nature. And this is why I think you need trust, because your lifestyle is very much perhaps a city person or a town person or suburbia, and the idea of living out in the wild or being so dependent on nature as a gatherer or as a scientist even is something that, or a support to a scientist, is something that you find very difficult to imagine at this time. So yes, I feel they are a foreigner. They're very connected to nature. They could work with animals, or they could gather animals. For some of you, they could be a vet as well, or a marine biologist, or they could work for some kind of institutions that are related to those fields. I feel that they're not very intellectual, and that you are, and that for you is something, like I said, you guys don't make sense on paper to a lot of people. But let's see what else we can find about your future spouse. So we got skydiving. That may be something you or they may be into. We've got writing, so maybe that's what brings you two together. Perhaps you interview them. We've got trivia. I think that's something both of you will be good at. And then we have cricket. Okay. So I guess that's why Canada came up. So it's, they could, cricket could be, I put it down as a sport, but seeing how they're into nature, it could actually mean the insect as well. So I'm going to pick one more for that. And we've got singing. So I feel they have a beautiful voice, and they sing in a different language. They sing in, some of them may do mouth music, which is something that I know they do in Canada and in, I want to say Australia. I think they do actually do it in Australia, but more Canada and Scotland. I know it's very big in Scotland, or it was very big in Scotland a few centuries ago. And but mouth music is not so different from a cappella. So they could also sing a cappella. Is it a cappella? Something like that. So they're very good at singing. I don't think they're in a band or something like that, but they might do it down at the club or the pub or at family gatherings. And I think they're really, really talented that way, but they don't want, they don't like to be in the limelight. So let's see what countries we've got. We've got Croatia, Serbia, Slovenia, and Moldavia. We've got New Zealand. New Zealand does actually fit in with the cold kind of fishing time, outdoorsy kind of weather. The Antarctic. Okay, we'll pick an extra one because I don't think that many of you will be going to the Antarctic, or perhaps it's something both of you want to go to. We've got Vietnam again, as well as Canada, East Coast. So I was thinking West Coast, but it could be Canada, East Coast. So those are the countries they could be from, or that both of you have, or you could be from, or both of you have discussed going to. Perhaps you would like to do adventure travels around there, because I think both of you are very adventurous, and they're very interested with the trivia. They're very interested in everything, but they don't like reading if they're forced to, and I don't think they read fiction. I think they read like non-fiction, and some of the things, even though they may not have a university education, they would be very very good at reading scientific information in some way. Maybe it's meteorology, maybe it's got to do with their specialist things. So have you already met them? So the black cards would be no, the red cards will be a yes. So no, you absolutely have not met them yet. And I don't think they're a friend of a friend either. I think they're still in the future, and I'm not sure how you'll meet. I think they are very kind of difficult to get to know at first. So it could be that, like I said, if they're crewing on a tour that you're on, or something to like that, perhaps that is how they get to know you and you get to know them. Or perhaps you are writing something and you go to interview them. I feel that you're in broadcasting. If you are, it's not so much writing as broadcasting, and it comes down to research in a way. So very interesting one for Kunzite. I hope that answered your question and that you enjoyed this reading. And yeah, if you did, please like and subscribe, and let me know if you'd like any other readings in particular. Also, if you'd like to check out my Patreon, you can find the link below. And on my Patreon, I have pick a card readings that are audios that you can download, and they normally have 4 to 6 options that you can listen to at different times. So take care, have fun, keep those vibes high, and stay safe and healthy. I'll see you soon. Bye.